Yeah, as every Sunday, it's the same exclamation, what a Murli. If only I could imbibe this Murli, everything would change. So let's see what Baba was highlighting for us. So one thought coming to my mind was about technology. Do we like technology? Baba mentioned various forms of technology in the Murli. And we know that technology makes our life easier. It's supposed to do that. And right now we're using technology to connect across the oceans. So technology has a wonder. It can reduce time and distance to almost nothing. So I feel what Baba was telling us today was spiritual technology, advanced spiritual technology. And the form it took was, he's saying, simply just give good wishes, and good wishes to others. And even if someone is giving you the opposite, but you just keep yourself busy in generating and sharing good wishes. And so this has a double effect, of course. One is it impacts the other person and helps to soften their intellect towards you. It helps to bring out the best in others. But also, if I am busy in generating good wishes, then it means there isn't space within the self for waste or negative thoughts to come. And you may remember some days ago, Baba talked about the strategy of Maya, how Maya enters. And he said that it is when we become weak, then Maya comes. And why and how do we become weak? It's when we lose our happiness. And I found that a very interesting point, that when our happiness level is high, happiness based on true self-respect, then we're able to deal with situations fairly easily. When the happiness level is low, soul becomes weak, and then the mind and intellect begin to misbehave. The meaning of the word Maya is quite interesting. So Ma is not, Ya is what is. So one way to define Maya, that which is not what it appears to be. In other words, illusion. And Maya's creative department is busy 24/7, coming up with new ways to trick the Brahmins. As Baba has told us, that if you are used to one form of Maya, Maya will find new ways to come towards you. They'll come in ways you have not experienced before. So just as Maya is busy with her team to find new ways, so we have to be proactive and stay ahead of the curve in order to be able to recognize early on when certain thoughts belong to Maya's world. And I think this is part of this thing Baba is calling as the checking machine. Check yourself, do some self-assessment. And checking itself is not enough, of course. As it tells us in Murli's, the purpose of checking is to change. The full slogan, check and change. Just like we look in the mirror to check our appearance, and if I look like a complete mess, then I wouldn't say, well, that's just the way I am today, but I would change. I'll do something to fix my appearance. So too, when we check and we find our thoughts, our attitudes, our feelings are not correct, then in a second, in a moment, there is the opportunity to change. And I think this is the purpose of Gyan. Why do we have knowledge? Knowledge gives us the potential and the power to be able to make a change. When we didn't have Gyan, then perhaps we could remain in a low mood or a bad mood for hours or days or sometimes weeks. In the world, people say something like, I'm having a bad day, but I think Brahmins cannot say that. Maybe we can say, I'm having a bad minute. Because the moment you realize, I'm not feeling so good, I need to deploy and use Gyan to change the direction of my thoughts. And even if I don't have the power to do it, but if with courage I take a step to at least try, then as we know, Baba's help comes in leaps and bounds. Checking machine, for me also means that to check what feelings I am carrying in the mind. Now, I found that it's easier to change the attitude than it is to change the feelings. I'll give an example. Let's say, for example, some situation happened and I took sorrow from someone. Now, even taking sorrow is, of course, a mistake. But if I allow those feelings of sorrow to sit in the soul, then they become comfortable and they go deep inside. Then it's very difficult, takes a lot of work to get those feelings out. But to change the attitude is wiser and quicker. So that means that when I feel that I'm not feeling so good, I've taken sorrow from someone, then very quickly I need to change my attitude and vision to see that situation from another angle. And the way to do that is to use what Baba has called as the weapons of knowledge. So the simple ones which we all use, we say things like, well, it was in the drama. Let the drama happen. Each soul is playing its own part. Whatever happened is good. Whatever is happening is better. Whatever is going to happen will be the best of all. If we quickly deploy these weapons of knowledge in practical life situations, in the heat of the moment, then my attitude will shift, and whatever negative or sorrowful feelings are taken will not then go deeper into the soul. Baba once gave this tremendous image. He talked about the strings of waste thoughts. Today also he mentioned the word why, which is the door to the forest of waste thoughts. And he said that he observes that sometimes we get tied up by these strings of waste thoughts, and they're all connected with these questions. Why this? Why the other? Sometimes why me? Sometimes why not me? And all the associated thoughts. And then it's like, we are tied up with all these strings and the mind is unable to move. And Baba, being such a good Baba, he says, I'm going to give you a pair of scissors. With these scissors, you can cut these strings very easily. And so the scissors I mentioned already is this phrase, this train of thought: whatever happened was good, whatever is happening is better, whatever is going to happen will be the best. And simply by having that slogan, you're able to cut the strings of waste thoughts which are holding down your mind. Another pair of scissors which Baba has also given, is I am good, Baba is good, Brahma is good, which is a very comprehensive slogan because there's nothing outside of that. I am good, Baba is good, Brahma is good. With this pair of scissors, the strings of waste thoughts are cut, the soul becomes free. Checking machine allows us to conserve the energy of the mind. And why that's necessary is because Baba has told us that this yogi life is based upon faith. And when I read that, I was a little surprised. I thought normally he would say it's based on purity or something like this, but why is the yogi life based on faith? Then as I began to think more, I saw that when a person really has faith, then waste thoughts do not arise. In situations, scenes, and scenarios which come up, and they will come up because we are in a drama, but where there is faith, then the waste thoughts simply are not given oxygen to breed. But where faith is lacking, the intellect will create waste thoughts, sometimes about the self, sometimes about somebody else, sometimes about the drama, situations, and circumstances. And when waste thoughts are being generated by the intellect, then of course the intellect becomes heavy. And a heavy intellect is not able to connect with Baba. So a very deep connection between the four types of faith which Baba has often talked about, and this being able to be in the yogi life, to experience the yogi life. And I would add to that also that sometimes Baba has used the phrase, are you yogis or do you have a yogi life? In other words, are you somebody who does meditation or are you a meditator? So one is something a person may do for some period of the day, but to be a meditator or to be a yogi means it's a lifestyle. So why are we called Raj Yogis? We do so many things in this life. We meet, we talk, we travel, we do all various kinds of service and administration, but we are not called Raj servers or Raj speakers or Raj administrators. We are still called Raj Yogis, which means we do all of those things, but in a state of yoga. And that's what makes the difference. The magic happens when I'm able to perform action in a state of yoga. And we see how Baba's help comes in leaps and bounds. So, if a person is using old-fashioned technology to do things, for example, if somebody is sending faxes to you, you may ask them, which century are you living in? Nobody uses faxes anymore. In the same way, if I'm using old thinking, even as a BK, Baba would say, now use the latest technology I'm giving you. And today was his gift of good wishes. Just immerse yourself, make yourself busy in having good wishes and nothing but good wishes. A couple more things about checking machine. My own experience has been this, four levels of self-checking. And let me start with level 4. I found that level 4, self-transformation, is based upon self-realization. So only when I realize that my thoughts are going in a wrong direction, or Sometimes one particular belief I'm holding on to is responsible for a whole set of useless, waste, or negative emotions. Only when I realize that, then transformation comes. And Baba had said that when a person reaches the point of realization, there is an explosion of energy, an explosion of enthusiasm, and the soul begins to move very fast. But what allows a person to reach the point of realization? The level below that, I would call as self-observation. That means my ability to see into my own self, my ability to see how my thought processes are working, to be able to see the mechanisms by which my mind is moving. And self-observation is based upon silence. Silence is the basis, which allows me to observe myself, which allows me to have realizations about myself, which then allows me to have transformation. And Baba had once told us, once when we were having a silence program, silence is extremely essential. Because, as he mentioned today, the speed of waste thoughts is very fast. If my thoughts are going so fast, I cannot see the source. Is that thought really coming from self-respect? Is it coming from some form of ego within myself? Is this thought or this idea I had really a pure desire, a pure thought, for example, for service? Or is it also laced or mixed with some selfish or limited desire for attention or appreciation or approval in some way? Only when the thoughts really slow down in silence, then I can see, where that thought is coming from, and therefore I'll be able to work on it. The thing with ego especially, of course, is it is a master of disguise. Very easily a selfish motive will masquerade as a moral principle, mixes things up. And this is the challenge for the checking machine, that Maya will continue to throw spanners, throw gremlins into the workings of the checking machine so that it malfunctions. And in our lokic life, in the worldly life, whenever we don't feel good about something, we have been used to doing this, been used to pointing fingers, saying, well, because of this person, because of this situation, I got angry, felt upset, had a bad day, and so on. So that's a tendency from the lokic life. But in the Brahmin life, what Baba is teaching us is saying, hang on, let's just turn this around and ask myself that regardless of how somebody else behaved or regardless of some situation, question for me, why did I take sorrow from that person? Why did I allow my happiness to disappear? Why did I step off the throne of self-respect? And so the whole Brahmin life is self-checking, self-assessment, and therefore self-change. And it's such a thing of great honor. What an honorable thing to do. And instead of pointing fingers outwards, which the whole world is doing, Baba is teaching us, look at yourself, and don't just look at yourself, but find lessons to elevate yourself. And we develop this habit course, we have to be aware. Sometimes this happens again. And then we lose it. Then we remember, okay, come back this way. Pay attention to the self. I think when we do this, when we're always checking the self and changing the self and elevating ourselves, then in the subtle region, Baba does this. Well done, child. Well done. He understood. She's understood what this whole thing is about. But when we do this, then I think what Baba does in a subtle region is something like this. He doesn't get it. So let's please Baba by continuing to check the self, have good wishes for the self, have good wishes for others. And as he says, continue to fly with zeal and enthusiasm, fly and make others fly. And for all of us, of course, this is the best job in the world. We take from the source and we distribute to everyone, whether it's knowledge or it's love, or it's good wishes, it's encouragement, it's kindness, it's power, whatever it is, take from the source, distribute to everyone. The best job in the world, and the pay is very, very, very high. And so this whole confluence age, as I was saying, is an age of celebration. And so how happy we should be with our fortune and seeing the fortune of each other as well. How great each one is in Baba's family. So I think I probably need to wrap up there. And it's really real honor for me, real privilege to be amongst the family on the West Coast in this way. So thank you so much for allowing me to be amongst you.
There's one question in the chat, if you can just answer that in a few minutes. And the question is, what do you do in your daily life to keep knowledge and yoga part of your nature, and some tips that you can share with us?
Yeah, knowledge and yoga. I've kind of always liked Gyan. I've always liked churning. And as I say, I came to Baba when I was about 8 or 9 years old. So as I went through my kind of worldly schooling, I was also going to Baba's center in the morning. So I had like a double education. I the scientific approach towards churning is one of the approaches I like, where if there's a point in the Murli, I don't just want to accept it, but I want to ask, how does it work? Why is he saying it? Where is it to be applied? What would be the benefit? And what I try and do is I take one point and try and go deep into that, other than, remembering so many points of the Murli. What's the point of remembering 10 points? The point is to use the point. So I like to isolate one point, or sometimes maybe two, and to just research it. How is it to be used, in which situation, how to apply it, also to visualize that point using different metaphors. So that helps me. And then in terms of the yoga, how to sort of stay connected in yoga, there's three sort of imageries that I use. One is the connection with Shiv Baba as the point in the soul world. And even moving around or walking around, just feeling like, Shiv Baba's light and power is just over me as I'm walking around, even in the streets. Sometimes that one. Sometimes just experiencing like Bap Dada in the angelic form of Brahma Baba is just around and is with me. Sometimes, in the kitchen, in cooking or whatever may be happening, just sort of having that natural, casual conversation with Baba Dada in his angelic form. And other times I just like to think of the days of Sakar Baba, and I'm just feeling that how he was. He was as a human being, but what an elevated and divine personality. So I feel such a great sense of honor and deep spiritual pride to belong to the family of Prajapita Brahma, where the highest standards, the highest ideals in human life. So those images we have seen in the history hall, like sometimes they just come to life, and I feel like, almost like being there, and as though Baba is still around. So that helps me to have a natural sense of relationship with Bap Dada in these three different ways.
हीरे जैसा मिला है जीवन, मोती जैसा मन। हीरे जैसा मिला है जीवन, मोती जैसा मन। दिया है बाबा हमको नया जीवन, दिया है बाबा हमको नया जीवन। हीरे जैसा मिला है जीवन, मोती जैसा मन। दिया है बाबा हमको नया जीवन, दिया है बाबा हमको नया जीवन। मुरली में है बाबा तेरी जादू खुदाई। मुरली में है बाबा तेरी जादू खुदाई। सुन कर के दिल में छाई है मस्ती मौलाई। इन्हीं रूहानी नजरों से हम हो गए पावन, इन्हीं रूहानी नजरों से हम हो गए पावन। दिया है बाबा हमको नया जीवन, दिया है बाबा हमको नया जीवन।
Thank you, Shanti.